So I think today's plan is going to be getting this rear end out so I can take a look at it and see what needs to be replaced and everything. And I think my plan is to take these ratchet straps off and then maybe like jack up the rear end right there, and then hopefully I can just slide this whole thing out because it's sitting on these wheels here, and hopefully that'll go pretty good. I mean, it's not very heavy, it's just aluminum, but I'd much rather not have to manhandle it today. Yeah, hopefully that works. And these I'm gonna have to figure out how to get these wheels off, because this one doesn't even have a clip or anything. It's just rust welded to the shaft, so hopefully I can press them out and not destroy the rims. But yeah, we'll get this thing all set up and we'll get it jacked up, see if we can't get this thing out. So it looks like the only things you gotta do to take this rear end out is you got 2 bolts here, and then you got 2 bolts over here. I don't know how well you can see that, but they're on the side. And then up in the front, you can kind of see it right there. You got 2 bolts right there to take out, and then you gotta disconnect the brake up there and take the belt off, and that's about it. So total of 6 bolts and a couple of nuts, and to take the belt off ain't too bad. So let's get this thing out. Well, I managed to get the rear end out. I didn't record any of it because it was kind of a pain in the butt. To getting it out, I had to heat it up, some of the bolts to get them out, or the nuts. This kind of fought me, so I had to heat them up. And sorry if you hear a wind noise. I got the fan running because it's hot. So I'm gonna try to see if I can't get this wheel off. I did clean it up down in here some, and I don't know if you can really see it, but that right there is the keyway, and it's pretty bent. I don't know what happened, if they tried putting this thing on and it was bounding up, so they just kind of beat it on there or what. But hopefully I can get these wheels off. I also had to end up unbolting this little brake arm here from the brake, because I could not get the cotter pins out. You know, after 20 years or so, these things just become hard as a rock, and you can't bend them to save your life. You almost have to like cut them off. But so I just unbolted it and made it easy. But other than that, it came out pretty good. You see I got it sitting over there. So I'm going to try to get these wheels off. I don't know how well that's going to work out. Worst comes to worst, what I'm thinking is maybe heating them up, and then well, I guess unbolting the transmission and splitting it down the middle here, right here, and then taking the C-clips off the ends of the axles, or whatever clips hold it, or pins or whatever that holds this thing together, and then sliding the axles out, and then heating it up, and then sticking it in a press, and then pressing the axle out is kind of what I'm thinking. And hopefully it doesn't destroy the rim. Other than that, I don't really have any ideas. So if anybody's got any better ideas, It'd be nice to know. This pulley, I don't know if I can get it off neither, but it should come off hopefully. I'm just hoping that I don't have to cut anything, but yeah, I'll keep you updated and see if we can't get this thing took apart. Well, I was trying to take the pulley off, and well, the axle fell out, and well, it puked its guts all over the driveway, so that's good. I'm actually surprised how small the axle is. It's not very big or long, I guess. So yeah, some needle bearings down in there that fell apart, so that's good. So gotta clean this mess up. Well, now that I got that all cleaned up, I think what I'm gonna do, I can't get the drain plugs out, so I think I'm just gonna go around and undo all these bolts here and pop this off and then dump it out into a container, and hopefully I don't make another big old mess again. So it's been a few days since the last clip, and I apologize for kind of jumping around a lot, but I got it all apart, and I found that was floating around in there, not the Woodruff key, that wasn't in there, but all of this was floating around in the oil that I drained out, and well, I actually found all the parts to the snap ring, and it's actually split apart into 4 different pieces. So I thought that was kind of impressive, and these are all the roller bearings that came out of it, or the needle bearings, and I knocked this out of the axle housing. It was actually this one right here, and it didn't do, you can see just right there, that's all it did. So it definitely wasn't ridden around a lot afterwards, so I'm sure this was probably why it was parked. So that's what's left of that, and well, let's see, this is the other one out of the long axle housing there, and it's pretty rough shape too. I don't know if you can see that, but the needle bearings in there are actually crooked inside the, I guess, cage, so it's gonna have to get replaced too. So if I'm gonna do one, I might as well do both. But yeah, there's the brake, disc brake there, and this has got to get off, unfroze, but not too bad. The rest of I guess the needle bearings and whatever was pretty much just this really nasty, mushy, greasy stuff at the bottom that I had to get all cleaned out. And there's the input shaft here. I got it all cleaned up and polished up. I had to heat this up to get the pulley off. It's sitting down there, but and then I polished it up. All I did was take some 400 grit and some WD-40 and then hand sanded it, and then I went over it with some mother's polish, and it cleaned up pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with that. Oh, and if you're, little tech tip here, if you're ever building one of these or rebuilding one of these, make sure that all your snap rings are free flowing in here, because you really want to, well, you don't have to do this, but it just assures you that they're sitting in the groove correctly, because if they don't move, typically you'll have one of these edges above the groove or below it, either way. But I did take it off and clean out that groove to make sure it free flows. Just it makes assembling a whole lot easier, and then you're not freaking out if your snap ring isn't moving. So, but yeah, I got all of these bolts pretty much cleaned up, I still got to do some of them, but and then these are the pins for the case halves, like the locating pins. And I thought this was pretty interesting too. This is what was holding the pulley on. It was this like 1/4 20 bolt, and it's got like 3 washers stacked on top of each other. So I don't really think anybody messed with the pulley, but I don't really know, because this doesn't look factory at all. So I'm not too sure what was going on there. But so I got to get all this stuff cleaned up, and then the case halves are over here. I got this one mostly cleaned up. This one was pretty chewed up from all those pieces of metal floating around in there for however long this was run. I'm sure it wasn't run for very long, but it was kind of chewed up, so I plugged off these bearings and the bushing down here, and just went over it with a Dremel, smoothed it up some. I still got to get this one all cleaned out, but that's what basically was in the bottom of it. Not the prettiest looking oil in the world, but so I'm gonna have to order some bearings and get some seals. And I thought this was interesting. So this is where the axle housing bolts to, and there's a seal right here. And honestly, I'm not too sure how these bearings get oiled, because these bearings here gets pressed down into there, and then there's another seal that goes on top, sitting right here. So basically you have your seal on top of your bearing that goes down into the axle housing, and then your axle housing gets bolted up to there. So I'm not too sure how this gets oiled, or if you have to fill this up somehow or another, because there's no way to fill it or check it. There's not a hole or a plug or anything to fill it up or check the level. So I don't know if this seal allows oil to get through or what, but I don't really know a way of getting oil past a seal and then into a bearing. I don't know. So I have to figure that out. And all of the gears are in this bucket here. And you see this one's pretty much the worn one right here. I don't know what the deal is here, but it's pretty worn. I think I can reuse it, good enough for what it's doing. I'm not going to be, it's not a racing mower or anything like that, so I'm just going to be mowing the grass. But everything else looks really good, actually. I was actually kind of surprised. I was expecting a lot more carnage than, just a couple bearings, or actually it was just the one. And then I might have to get some of these thrush bearing deals here, because, well, if I can get it to focus, they're pretty worn out, and they're just in a plastic cage, so I'm not really too excited about that. I'm afraid it might fall apart on me later on, so I might get some of those if I can find them. But that's about it. Again, I apologize for jumping around a lot. I guess I could show you the wheels. They're over here. If I can get around here, we got a messy garage here, but I did get them off. I had to cut the tires off because I couldn't get them to come off, so I'm gonna have to soak this in something. But I'm thinking, look at that rim. Isn't that in nice shape? I thought that was in pretty good shape. And what I thought was also cool, see if I can find it here. There's a tag right there. So I'm pretty sure that these were the original tires. I don't think anybody's went in here and messed with anything, but I'm thinking I'm gonna have to put these in a press and press them off. So it should be pretty simple. I don't think we're gonna have too much trouble out of it. And I'm pretty glad that these rims are in good shape. So that's all good. Let's see, what else? I think that's about it. So the next video will probably be just cleaning up some of this stuff, and getting it ready to go, put back together. I've got to order up some bearings and some seals, and hopefully I can find everything. If not, then I think I can definitely, I know I can find these bearings and these seals. So that's all I really needed. So yeah, I think that's about it. And stay tuned, like, subscribe, and that's about it. So see you guys.